If you were 2-7, you'd be in a bad mood too.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. And he hits the upright again. That's impossible.
Get your mouth shut. Get your mouth shut. Jerk.
The Bears' season's going to end on a double doink.
If worms had machine guns, then birds wouldn't be scared of them.
Hey, how's everyone doing out there? Welcome to a Word Hole Media presentation of the Limp Ditkas podcast. I'm Pete.
I'm Ryan. Welcome to the Limp Ditkas podcast. We're just a couple of Chicago pricks united by our hatred of University of Michigan football and the Chicago Bears. We have a Super Bowl to talk about. Matt Stafford is finally a Super Bowl champion, which
didn't take long at all.
Yeah. Which leads me directly into my SOL rant of the week. I think we've officially reached peak SOL, and I'll break that down for you.
Break it down.
We've got a little bit of Cowboys news to talk about. We've got some USFL news, some breaking USFL news.
Oh,
and we have a little dalliance from Jim Harbaugh cheating on Michigan, and he had to come running back to him after he was rejected by his his fling, the Vikings fling.
it was a pretty hard fling too.
Yeah, we'll love to cover that. So let's go ahead and jump into the news.
Rams.
Oh, sorry, wait, I did that wrong. Let's kick this motherfucker off.
The Rams, Super Bowl champs, led by Matt Stafford.
Yeah, Stafford took about 20 seconds to get the fuck out of Detroit and just immediately wins the Super Bowl. So
yeah,
congratulations to Matt Stafford. I sent you my prediction before the game, just to get it on record, as we, in typical LDP fashion, failed to do our Super Bowl predictions on the previous show. At least I don't remember doing it, but I sent you my prediction of the Bengals winning 27-21.
Yeah,
I got way more specific than that. I said Matt Stafford would have 3 touchdown passes. 1, 2, 3. He did. I said he would have over 300 yards passing. He had 283, so I was close on that one.
Wow.
I said he would have 3 interceptions to go along with those 3 touchdown passes, and he almost got there. He got 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
That third one I predicted would be a pick 6 in the fourth quarter. That would have essentially cost them the game. And that was the only thing I was wrong about. He didn't throw that pick 6 in the fourth quarter. He instead led his team on the final touchdown drive to take the game 23-20. So I was just a little bit off on the scoring prediction. But I feel like I was rather accurate. You were telling me I should have done a parlay.
Well, if you could find someone to take it, that's the thing. They
complex parlay.
Yeah, they wouldn't let you on FanDuel mix some of those, like parlay some of those things together. So I had to use a parlay calculator for you, as I told you. And Smitty's prediction, I'm sure he could have gotten it done in Vegas. That's what makes Vegas great. Or by someone named Tony. But
you got a guy, don't you?
You got a guy, don't you? Anyway, a $5 bet on those 5 things coming true would pay out over $73,000. I mean, he was close. I mean, he wouldn't have won anything, but
I was close because I've seen Matt Stafford play that game for 13 fucking years now, 12 years with the Lions and 1 year with the Rams. And he's the same. That's who he is. He throws touchdowns, puts up yards, and he throws interceptions. And
he threw a gem of a one on the one play where he was directing traffic. I said right away, I'm like, this is an interception.
Yeah, I kept saying that on that final touchdown drive. Like, oh, here comes the interception. And it never came. So it took them about 7 tries at the end zone when they had first and goal to actually get that final game-winning touchdown.
Well, you get enough penalties called. It's kind of like what happened at the end of the Cincinnati-Kansas City game. You get enough penalties called against you, you're bound to score.
It was strange in that there just weren't many penalties called in the entire game, and then all of a sudden they were calling everything. At the end.
It's a little. There's some there's some missed calls. There's the Jalen Ramsey getting pulled down by his face mask on the
that
T.
was
Higgins
ridiculous.
touchdown.
How do they miss that? The only thing I could think of is like the back judge was just at the perfect angle not to see that, or how does no one see that? That's that obvious.
It was unbelievable. And then, questionable pass interference with linebacker coverage, but like everyone said, like the minute a linebacker's on a wide receiver and he makes a play, he gets flagged. He almost gets flagged all the time because they assume there's no way a linebacker could make that play, and he had to have been doing something illegal. But in replay, it looked like nothing.
Yeah, I feel like probably one of those penalties was legit. I think the rest of them are very questionable, but that's all it took is to give him another set of downs.
Yeah.
I saw someone bring up, and this gets kind of to our aesthetics that segment that we do in the baseball podcast, but somebody blamed the Cincinnati's orange gloves. Made it way too obvious what they were doing with their hands when you put those contrasting with the white Rams jerseys. So it's very clear when they put their hands on the
interest that there's probably some credence to that.
Well, I mean, that's if fashion is going to cost you a Super Bowl, I think you need to reevaluate your priorities. Like, just put on some white gloves, I guess, and they would have had a chance to win a fucking Super Bowl. But
I hate those yellow Rams gloves because sometimes when they put their hand on the turf, I think a flag's been thrown. But then there's no flag. It's just a yellow glove.
It's tough.
I know.
Well, I think you've got to congratulate Matt Stafford. I don't hate the guy, never hated the guy, just never thought he could get it done. He did get it done, proving me wrong. He got it done because every single little thing had to work out perfectly, and you could see that throughout his career. The Lions never even came close to putting anything perfectly together the way the Rams did for him. So that leads me to the realization that we've pretty much reached peak SOL, maximum same old Lions. If you think about it, I mean, Matt Stafford leaves the franchise after 12 years and immediately wins a Super Bowl.
I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. That's your lowest low or your highest high with SOL.
Yeah, well, don't let me continue, though.
Okay.
I've only just begun. Not only that, simultaneously, when he wins that Super Bowl, it makes the return for his trade the worst possible return we could have had in that trade, getting a number 32 first round draft pick instead of maybe as high as number 23 as the playoffs started. And they had missed the playoffs somehow. It would have been much higher than that. Fortunately, we still do have their number one pick next year, but I mean, they've got to be the prohibitive favorites to go back to the Super Bowl this year in 2023.
Well, you got a couple things you can hope for. Von Miller and Aaron Donald might not be there next year, so their defense will take a mighty big hit without those two. So it could be look a little more optimistic for yourself.
Speaking of Aaron Donald, I thought he should have won the MVP. He basically the whole second half they held Cincinnati down. That's why the Rams had a chance to come back. Aaron Donald, mind you, could have been drafted by the Lions in 2014, as the Lions had the number 1 pick or the number 10 pick in the first round, and chose to draft a tight end named Eric Ebron. You may remember.
That's a good one. Yeah.
They passed on Aaron Donald, leading to their demise and leading to a Super Bowl championship for the Rams eventually. They also passed on Odell Beckham Jr., who went right before Aaron Donald in that draft. So there's levels of irony there. The other things that came out this week that week in Michigan, at least, is there's a movement almost of Stafford slappies who are now buying T-shirts and all sorts of things that refer to a team called the Detroit Rams.
Oh, God.
As if somehow Detroit or Stafford fans could claim some kind of victory. kind of eschewing their shameful Lions history and just
I'm
saying,
gonna throw up, dude. That's terrible.
That's what I've been dealing with for 2 weeks.
Oh
That's what I was frustrated with. That's why I could see coming with all the Stafford love throughout these playoffs. It eventually landed into Detroit Rams T-shirts, which then, of course, morphed into world champion Detroit Rams T-shirts.
No, it didn't.
They are world championship Detroit Rams T-shirts and hoodies available. I won't even tell you where. I know the website.
Please don't. Please don't. We don't want to promote that.
Yeah, it's been a large topic. People are wearing those as a source of pride, and it should be the biggest embarrassment.
I mean, that's essentially me calling the Arizona Cardinals when Emmitt Smith went there the Dallas Cardinals.
Wow.
Because Emmitt Smith is there now. And I mean, I guess it's different. I guess it's different okay. It's a little bit, it's a lot different. Smith won 3 Super Bowls with the Cowboys. You thought Matt Stafford was going to win a Super Bowl. Those fans probably realized he never had enough quality around him to push it over the edge. So now they feel they've earned the right to do that. I don't like it, but I kind of get it, but it's a stretch, man.
Yeah, it's mainly an indictment. It's embarrassing. I mean, if I see someone wearing that shirt, I will definitely say something. I haven't seen them. I am in Lansing, Michigan, which is quite far away from the epicenter of Detroit Rams. I haven't heard a whole lot of it's been a topic on Detroit Sports Talk Radio. I haven't heard anyone say they've seen someone who wear one. I just know they're for sale. So I guess we'll see how that turns out. But it's an indictment of the sadness of the franchise. I don't know why anyone, if you want to wear a Stafford jersey, whether it's a Rams jersey or a Lions jersey, I understand that if he's your favorite player. But the Detroit Rams shit, it's too much. So I think we can safely say that Detroit has lost the Matt Stafford trade, no matter any way.
Yeah,
I guess if the Lions,
any way you slice that up, it's not good.
If the Lions somehow get a franchise quarterback out of this coming draft or the next one, maybe, and then they win 2 Super Bowls, it'd be the only way they could outdo Stafford and the Rams already winning 1 Super Bowl. So the other sad part, or I don't know if it's sad. I don't know what it is, but it was revealed that the second largest market watching the Super Bowl was Detroit, right behind Cincinnati. So we were more tuned into that game than anyone
than LA,
Cincinnati. Huh? Well, far more than LA. There was that shouldn't be too surprising, especially when you see footage of their victory parade today. Did you see that?
No,
by chance?
I didn't see that.
There's about 10 people. Not many people saw the parade either.
Wow.
They had barricades set up, and there's about 10 people on their scooters and a couple people wearing jerseys.
They needed to bring Dre and the crew back to join the parade to get a crowd out there. Yeah,
it was unreal. This parade's going to get tens and tens of views. So yeah, that was my. That is maximum SOL. I don't know how it can get any worse for the Lions. Other than, you think about the Super Bowl MVP was indeed Cooper Kupp, who had the greatest. He's got to have the greatest wide receiver season in history. He led the league in receptions, touchdowns, yardage.
He's the only person to ever do that or something in the same season. Yeah.
In the same season. It's been done, but it's been over. I think Jerry Rice did it over multiple seasons. Right. He also won the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl MVP. So
that's a sweep.
The only solace you could get from that as a Lions fan is that our current GM was integral in drafting him. I forget what year it was, but so Brad Holmes has his fingers all over that Super Bowl championship team, and hopefully he can convert those talents into doing the same in Detroit. That is the one bit of optimism I'm going to take out of all this. So
yeah, well, there you go. You gotta find something there, buddy.
Beyond we didn't really talk about the game other than me ranting about Stafford. Did you enjoy the game? Was it?
Yeah, it was a fun little game.
The playoffs were fantastic. This pretty much lived up to it. The Cincinnati had a chance to come back and just came up short.
Yeah,
in the last 2 minutes. Couple weird non-injuries with Stafford, like tweaking his foot looked like his foot was going to be dislocated. And he came limping off the field, and then he was just fine. It looked like Joe Burrow snapped his other knee.
Yeah, it sure did.
And he was okay. He could not get out of the pocket after that play. It looked like I think they kind of adjusted their play calling a bit where he wasn't rolling out anymore, but he wasn't quite as effective. But
yeah, I wonder how that very last play goes down if he could actually, if he could have actually run. I think that was their ultimate demise, him losing his mobility. Because when you're under pressure you got Von Miller, you've got Aaron Donald, you've got I can't think of his name, the ex-Bear, Lance Briggs. I mean, you got they have a lot of beasts on that defense. It's
serious.
Yeah, so they got guys who can get there on their own without any extra help. So, but I mean, as Super Bowls have gone, having two new teams in there, and as just reiterating what you said, I don't think as being on the sidelines for me after the first round of the NFL playoffs, every round was great.
Yeah.
So,
I thought it. Yeah, I was just hoping I was really hoping for a Cincinnati victory, but at least it was an entertaining game. I was also hoping for some entertaining Super Bowl commercials, as you and I have our backgrounds in advertising, so the commercials are always an interesting thing. Although I don't think they were all that interesting this year. I don't know what did you have any favorites or least favorites?
I think my least favorite, even though it's probably the most effective one, was the QR code.
Okay.
For Bitcoin, I did it.
Okay. This is the difference between you and I.
And Charlie did it. And then I was like, wait, Charlie. Oh, okay. It's Bitcoin. I'm like, I don't know where the fuck this is going. Look, there's tits all over his phone.
Well, that's the thing. I don't fully understand the psychology. Like, I understand the intrigue, but I'm just, as a skeptical Gen Xer, I guess, I just saw a QR code and say, fuck you. I know what you're trying to do, but I'm not going to do it. Especially with no tease, no enticement. It's just literally a QR code bouncing around.
I just assumed it was GoDaddy. I really did.
Could have been.
It was like a GoDaddy cover. But it was a Bitcoin. It was Bitcoin. So
Charlie's into cryptocurrency now.
No, he's like,
automatically download, like give you a wallet and everything.
No, he just was like, this is stupid. I'm like, yeah, I knew it was going to be stupid, but
now he's a billionaire.
After being on the screen for like 60 freaking seconds, it's probably 30, but it felt like 60. Just having that square bounce around, I'm like, I gotta see what it is.
You can do that, but at least I thought there should have been a voiceover. I mean, they just played some music. Just do something. I thought it was lazy, is what it was. They were trying to be revolutionary, but I think it was really just lazy.
The thing I found interesting about most of the commercials is, like, all they did was like go back and redo old movie and TV show bits. Yeah. That was like the creative idea for like almost every commercial.
And having talking animals, essentially. I mean, that's a staple of Super Bowl commercials.
Yeah.
I like the Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm one, but that's just because I like Larry David. It's not that it was a great commercial. I don't even know what it was for now. I forget, but how he was going through history and saying, I don't think it's a great idea.
Yeah. The fact that you don't remember what the commercial was for means it was not that great. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the $1 million they spent.
I think it was $4 million.
$4 million. That's yeah. So.
Well, I think that's all I've got for the Super Bowl. Did you have some Cowboys news you needed to talk about?
Just interesting, we've been talking about the Cowboys coaching staff and who's staying and who's going. And we had speculated due to rumors and then some interesting calls in the playoffs that maybe Mike McCarthy really was on the hot seat. So Jerry Jones was asked some questions at the Super Bowl because, of course, he was there. And he made some comments. I'm going to paraphrase these. He made some comments along the lines of, we know it's great having Dan Quinn on the coaching staff. He's definitely could definitely be a future head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And then followed up by, well, I mean, I don't think Mike McCarthy ever thought he was going to coach here forever. So,
Wow.
again, not a lot of support coming from the front office for him.
No.
And I think if Sean Payton was interested in coaching this year, he would not be the head coach right now. Sean Payton would. He came up with Parcells with the Cowboys, and then left for New Orleans, and they've tried to get him a couple times. They tried to get him out of contracts in New Orleans to come coach the Cowboys. So I think it's just a matter of time now. I think it's whatever McCarthy, whatever it's going to take, whether it's next year or the year after, Sean Payton will probably be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
But we'll see. And we'll see if he's interested in that. I mean, he's like a Jimmy Johnson, though, in that he wants that control of like player personnel decisions and stuff like that, where the coach of the Dallas Cowboys only gets a say in the matter. And it's ever since Jimmy Johnson, because Jerry didn't know shit about players. Right. So Jerry basically built that team, and then Jimmy basically built that team, and then Jerry didn't like Jimmy was getting all the spotlight. Because I'm the owner of the Cowboys.
And what's happened since?
Nothing good. Lots of swings, or not. Well, I guess not swings. Lots of passes and drops. So yeah. So, but I just thought that was worth mentioning because it's just interesting times there again. You wouldn't think a coach is on the hot seat after you go 12-5, but you did lose in the first round of the playoffs. But I don't know. We'll see.
Well, we've talked about it every time this has come up, is that I didn't really question his coaching ability till that debacle of the closing seconds of the playoff game. So
what do you mean?
I've definitely beaten that horse too.
It was the ref's fault.
Well, I did. We've got the usual segment with shit Pete forgot. We've got shit Smitty forgot this time, because I do have a few more Lions thoughts.
Well, here we go.
With the Super Bowl being completed, we do now have our final draft picks. The selection order is set in stone now, and the Lions have officially the number 2 pick, the number 32 pick, the number 34 pick, the number 66 pick, and the 97 pick, plus 5 more picks after that. So they do have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, and then a total of 10 in a 7-round draft. So that is encouraging, how they have, attack the problem with volume. If you can't guarantee that a draft pick's gonna pan out, you might as well just get a lot more draft picks and increase your odds that it's going to work out. So I like that. You've seen that done by the Patriots, for one, amassing as many draft picks as possible and hitting on as many as possible. So
Herschel Walker trade too.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get deeper into my analysis of what I think the Lions should do. I think it's obvious with the number 2 pick, they got to go defensive end. They need a game wrecker. Aiden Hutchinson's probably going to be the pick there, as it looks like Jacksonville's going to go with an offensive lineman to protect Trevor Lawrence. At number 32, it becomes very interesting, and I've heard lots of theories already coming out about this. And some people, Lions need help everywhere. They need linebackers, they need safeties, they need corners, they need wide receivers. I'm starting to hear rumblings that they might even go after a quarterback with the number 32 pick as opposed to the number 34 pick. And there's some logic behind that. Is in the first round, you have a 5th-year option. If you are drafted in the first round, the team has a 5th-year option to continue their relationship with you, and that's been used successfully on young quarterbacks. That would make some sense, as we've got Jared Goff next year at least, and then we could have a quarterback under his tutelage for that year, and then 4 years after that potentially. So that might be a direction I'm not really in favor of. I'd like to see him get a wide receiver or a linebacker with the 32 and 34 picks. But a quarterback might make sense if somebody falls to them, and it might make sense with that number 32 pick. But I just like the idea they've got 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. I think they should be able to hopefully use that to their advantage, as Brad Holmes has shown a proclivity of drafting well for the Rams, as they are now the Super Bowl champions. One other piece of Lions news is they promoted tight ends coach Ben Johnson to become their offensive coordinator. That's interesting in a few ways, is that Dan Campbell, of course, was a former tight ends coach. He's actually a former tight end for both the Lions and your Cowboys.
Yes.
So there's kind of a tight ends thing going on there. We have a decent tight end, TJ Hawkinson, on the team. I'm not sure. I think the jury's out on him. I think we were hoping he would be more than he is, as he was another top 10 pick, tight end picked in the top 10. He hasn't quite lived up to, I wouldn't say he's a bust by any means, but he kind of has not lived up to the hype quite yet. He's kind of had, you've seen moments of brilliance, and then he kind of fades into the background a lot of times. So we'll see there, but there's definitely some kind of tight end connection going on with the Lions coaching staff and how they're building their teams. But the jury's still out. There's been no announcement on who will be calling plays, as Dan Campbell famously took away play calling halfway through the season from his offensive coordinator. And now we'll see how Ben Johnson fits into that plan. That's all I've got for the Lions and the NFL. Unless
are you sure?
Yeah, that's it.
Because normally it's me. So are you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay.
I think that means we can take a break and come right back here on the Word Hole Media Network.
Word Hole Media.
Major League A-Holes in the Hole podcast, where baseball opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and most of them stink. Find us at MajorLeagueAholes.com and anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Word Hole Media.
Well, we do have some breaking USFL news that actually broke this morning, as they have announced that the playoffs and championship game will be in Canton, Ohio, as opposed to Birmingham, Alabama, where all the regular season games will be played. There's a schedule conflict, I believe, in Birmingham, which is a little bit embarrassing, I guess, or that something else to take precedence over the start of this new league or the most important games of this new league. But what can you do? Maybe they knew this all along. It's just kind of strange as it was announced today. I think it's cool though. I mean, you play the regular season in the Southern Division territory and move it into the Northern Division territory, and it actually might even give us the option if your Maulers and my Panthers happen to.
What do you mean? What do you mean if my Maulers?
I like that comeback. The Northern Division Championship game, June 25th. We might have to make a road trip to Canton, Ohio.
We might. We just
haven't done the mileage. You could split that up. Just come here, come to Lansing. Then we can party here for one night, and then head out early in the morning, get to Canton.
The last time you partied with a friend, and I just want to bring you back here for a second. So just last time you partied with a friend in Lansing and then had to be somewhere the next day, you were not good.
But I did reach my destination exactly on time. We got to Chicago just in time for the Michigan State game.
You did get there just in time. It took you about an hour to start drinking, hour or more to start drinking. But
you left. We continued to party after. I had to take a nap. I think I took a nap right after you left, and then we continued to party. And I was fine after that. But it was a mess.
You were a mess. You were a mess.
Yeah, that was bad. But anyway, we digress. So that is where the playoffs and championship game will be played. It's the Hall of Fame Stadium where you've seen the preseason Hall of Fame game. So I think it's a pretty cool venue. It looks pretty similar to where they'll be playing in Birmingham. So I think that makes sense. Not a giant cavernous stadium. And I would think the playoff game and championship games would be well attended. So I think that's pretty cool. Other news is we have the draft fast approaching. That would be next Tuesday and Wednesday. The coaches of all 8 franchises will be getting together. I'm not sure if they're going to be in the same room or if it's going to be a big Zoom conference.
Pretty sure it's like a fantasy football draft.
Well, it's more like a fantasy football draft than you would ever imagine, it will be a snake draft. They apparently whoever has the number 1 pick in the first round will have the final pick in the second round and so forth. The difference is they're going to draft by position. It sounds like they're going to have, like, in the first 2 rounds, I think you draft quarterbacks. So number 1 pick will get their number 1 choice of quarterbacks, and they'll get the last choice of quarterbacks. I think that's how that's going to work. And then they'll move on to skill positions, then offensive line, defense, however they choose to do it. So you can't just go anywhere on the board as you could in a real fantasy football draft. So I thought that was interesting that it's kind of like what we do every fall. It's not going to be televised. It's just not a big enough property that I don't think that enough people would tune in for that. So I understand that. And I think it's going to be covered thoroughly and instantly on social media. So I'll be following along with that on Tuesday and Wednesday. I haven't seen a time that it's going to be starting yet, but I think that'll be fun. Jeff Fisher will build the championship-winning franchise as the Michigan Panthers are destined to become the 2-time inaugural champions of the USFL. That's possible. So I'm looking forward to that. Speaking of Michigan Panthers and the Michigan Panther cast that you're listening to now, we passed 500 followers last week. Maybe that was 2 weeks ago. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the support. We're actually up to 570 followers on Twitter.
Whoa!
We are growing by leaps and bounds. And we don't even have a fucking roster yet. So just imagine when we know who our quarterbacks are and all the name players.
I can't wait to see who the notable names are.
Well, that's the thing. They keep saying that there would be 4 to 5 recognizable names on every roster, which is encouraging. Just because that's really how the first USFL was successful, is they had so many recognizable names. They were taking Heisman Trophy winners in the first 3 years. So that's definitely going to give it the jump start they need. And I really hope those are some names. It's certainly not going to be to that level. You're not going to see a Herschel Walker or anybody like that. Jim Kelly, Doug Flutie.
I wonder if you're going to see Terrell Owens, though, at wide receiver, because he's tried to get back in the NFL so many times.
That's a possibility. That might be a little embarrassing. I don't know. It might work. I mean, you hear rumors about Antonio Brown possibly being interested. I don't think that's going to happen, but you just never know. They're going to be drafting from a pool of 400 to 500 players. That should be public knowledge by now, but that is not. I don't believe so. At least I haven't seen a complete list. There's things trickling out here and there that you can figure out who is, and I haven't recognized any of those players necessarily, but I'm not a hardcore alternative spring league dyed in the wool aficionado until this year. I wasn't interested in any of that until my Michigan Panthers were involved. So we'll be learning together, I guess. So what I would like to see is, like a uniform reveal. And that's one of the biggest marketing things they could bring out for us in this dark time now that the Super Bowl is over and there's no baseball on the horizon.
You sounded so grim when you said that. In this dark time. It
is February. I mean, this is brutal. We're getting a foot of snow tomorrow here.
Yeah, I know. We're supposed to get hit here too. So
yeah.
Good times.
It'd be nice if we could see some uniform reveals. Where's the schedule? I'd love to see a schedule. There's no reason to hold that up. They know what the schedule is. There's only 8 teams. There's 10 weeks.
Jesus.
I need content. We're content creators here, and I'd like something to work with. So I can't make up a schedule. I can make up lots of things, but I can't.
You could make up a schedule. You could. You know what?
A mock schedule.
Why don't we come back next week with your proposed schedule and see if it matches up?
Work.
That's all the episode's going to be. Your proposed schedule and why, and then we'll see if you hit it on the head or not.
Yeah, I'm sure people find that very fascinating.
Tune in to the Michigan Panther podcast next week for Smitty's dream schedule of the season.
There is rumors out there that some more merchandise is going to leak out or will be available at least at USFL shop, which would be fun to see. They have some pretty mediocre merchandise up there now. You can get fantastic Michigan Panther cast merchandise at limpditkas.com if you would like. We've got T-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve T-shirts, mugs, pint glasses, all sorts of cool shit there with not the Panthers logo, the Panther Cast logo, which I think is superior, of course. But the other one big piece of news, I'm not sure if it's news, but at least it's a plan that is out there, is the big issue, of course, in this first season is that all the games we played at a central location happens to be Birmingham, Alabama, which makes it difficult for a local fan base to build if they can't go to games or don't have any real connection other than the name and a logo and hopefully some kick-ass uniforms. And history, of course, and that's why I'm so interested in this endeavor. But the plan is officially to get real local, have the teams move to their local markets in year 2. If all goes well, if they have local ownership, they can work out stadium deals. That is the plan. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but at least that is the idea. This is not a permanent thing to play all your games in Birmingham, Alabama. They will be, hopefully in year 2, be moving into Michigan. We've speculated already on where those different stadiums could be. So we'll see how that works out. You can check out our previous Michigan Panther cast. I believe that was episode 5, maybe 4, where we talked about where the stadiums could possibly be. So check that out.
I think part of your, love for the Michigan Panthers is they're your closest thing to winning a possible football championship soon.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm fully aware of that's why. I mean, they are the Michigan Panthers are the last professional football team to win a championship in Detroit. That was 1983. So
do you think there'll be LA Panthers shirts in LA?
No.
If there's a quarterback that used to play for an LA team the Michigan Panthers?
Very meta, getting very deep right there. Yes. No, I'm gonna go out on a limb there and say no. Although I am a little bit surprised there is no LA USFL team when they decided
not yet
randomly dole out the 8 new franchises. I'm not sure the full decision, the thought process on that, but they did not rejuvenate the LA Express, which maybe they just know how shitty the LA football market is. They don't deserve any football teams, let alone 2 NFL teams. So I don't know. That's interesting.
I mean, they only went Midwest to East, right? Pretty much.
Well, it's basically East. It's just Michigan is the only Midwest team. That's another thing that surprised me, that they didn't resurrect the Chicago Blitz, which probably would have been your chosen team as opposed to the Pittsburgh Maulers. But
maybe.
Yeah, I mean, with the sadness and pathetic Chicago Bears, you think the USFL could?
The USFL probably would have sold out Soldier Field.
I mean, be interested.
Jesus,
maybe that'll be year 2. Maybe that'll be year 3.
They could have ran Peyton's corpse out there as a running back. It'd be a sellout. Jeez.
On that note, I think we should conclude this week's Michigan Panther cast. I think we can awkwardly transition now into college football,
which is about an awkward individual.
Yeah, the most awkward individual, Jim Harbaugh. We actually have breaking news this evening, as he and the University of Michigan have reached a contract extension. You saw some of the details. I just saw that.
All I saw. I got a Athletic alert that said he has been extended until 2026.
Wow.
After he took his rejection from the NFL as a whole.
Yes.
We can examine that momentarily. And walked back to his team and said, why don't I just stay here?
Came back with his tail between his legs.
Yep.
The cheating dog he is. He had his little dalliance with the NFL, and specifically the Minnesota Vikings, who happen to be the only one of 9 NFL teams that had coaching openings, head coach openings. The only one to offer him an interview, and didn't even give him an offer. So while we kept hearing Jim Harbaugh's name out there as a prospective coaching candidate for multiple positions, it really was only one, and it never even came to an offer. So that interest was all from Jim Harbaugh. It was not from the NFL, as you said.
Yeah, probably Jim's agent putting those stories out there to try to create something.
Well, this is what's interesting. He doesn't even have an agent. He is his own agent. He has a lawyer, but has no.
Oh, that's
agent.
right. He has a lawyer. That's what it is. Okay,
Well,
yeah.
So was it Jim Harbaugh himself putting those things out there? I don't know.
I mean, why not?
I don't understand how any of these things work, how the mind of Jim Harbaugh works, how Michigan fans could be so desperate as to let him treat you like this. You're like the cuckolds whose wife cheated on them and bring him back with open arms. Everyone is ecstatic to see Jim Harbaugh coming back as he tried to parlay his 1 year of success, finally getting some success at the University of Michigan. Tried to parlay that immediately into an NFL job and was summarily rejected by the one suitor he possibly had. So it's an embarrassing situation.
I mean, essentially, he got rejected, though, by every NFL team.
Yeah, exactly.
In the fact that he didn't even qualify to interview with 8 of the 9 teams. I mean, that is what he's thought of at this point in the NFL.
Well, and the one team he did have a chance with, they had apparently a phone interview at one point, or maybe it was a Zoom call. And that's what led to the actual interview in Minnesota during a snowstorm, which it also happened to be National Signing Day, that same exact day where he was on his way to Minnesota for what turned out to be a 9-hour interview.
Wow.
And where it's come out pretty much that it's obvious that he believed it was ceremonial at all. Like he basically thought he had the job and was just coming to shake everyone's hands. And that was not the case at all, where he was grilled with a 9-hour interview, which I've never heard of for any kind of position.
Right.
But he was not prepared, it sounds like. And the Vikings were not impressed by him. That's why he does not have the job. He had a chance to impress them and he did not do it.
Not surprised.
Yeah. So he comes crawling back to Michigan. Yeah, basically with the quote, "I'm sorry, baby, it'll never happen again." I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Refresh my memory, and because I can't remember it now. What was that erroneous tweet that tried to make it sound like he didn't interview all day because he heard some song and headed back to Michigan?
Yeah, he probably basically said, they couldn't fire me because I quit is kind of the analogy. Like he was trying to make it sound like he didn't really want to go. And it's obvious that he did. And they rejected him, but he was trying to say that it was him who decided he needed to come back to Michigan. It was just very transparent that it was total bullshit.
I mean, he's a fucking idiot. I think Michigan really played over what their real, skill set was this year. I think they played above it, and then you saw it come to fruition once they hit the college playoff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it. I think we're going to have a lot of fun this upcoming college football season, making fun of him and after they lose to like fucking Illinois or something too, or, like next year or so.
Well, there is plenty of fallout and collateral damage from this dalliance as he's lost his defensive coordinator to the NFL, which is kind of understandable. A defensive coordinator going from college into the pros is a vertical move, where he also lost Josh Gaddis, his offensive coordinator, but not to a vertical move. It was a horizontal move to maybe even less lateral move to Miami Hurricanes as their offensive coordinator. And it came out essentially that I believe, and this is all speculation, we're not really sure how this played out, but he believed he should have been the heir apparent to Jim Harbaugh. All signs pointed to him being gone. And in the time that Harbaugh was diddling around, Gaddis decided to get the fuck out of Dodge and was just realized he had no future there. So it's kind of an embarrassing thing when you lose he happened to be offensive coordinator of the year in college football. And he makes a less than lateral move to the University of Miami.
That is true. Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people gave Josh Gaddis credit for where Michigan was last year with their offense. I mean, he was the offensive coordinator. That's one of the big things that changed last year. So we'll see where they end up. I think you're right. I think we're going to be laughing. One thing that's a little bit laughable, and I would only bring up because this is an irresponsible podcast that hates the University of Michigan football, but Josh Gaddis was also rumored not to have gotten the job or would never be getting the head coaching job at Michigan because there's a rumor out there that he actually fucked the mother of one of their recruits or a recruit. I'm not sure if it's a Michigan recruit or whatever, but there's a substantial rumor out there that I am not just making up. You can find it if you want to, but apparently maybe Josh Gaddis overstepped his bounds in the recruiting trail.
Wow.
There's also a possibility that Michigan put that out there to discourage his candidacy for the head coaching position. I don't know.
I mean, it's not surprising then, based on that story, which this allegedly happened, but that he did a lateral move to the Miami Hurricanes of all teams, because that seems to fit right in down in Miami.
Wow.
So,
oh boy. Well, it's just some interesting, embarrassing pieces of news for your Michigan Wolverines. We will
Michigan against everyone. Michigan versus everyone.
The dumbest shirt I've ever seen. We've ranted about that on the podcast before.
I know. I just saw it again for some reason.
God.
It came up in a feed, and I'm like, why are people wearing these shirts?
The privileged blue bloods acting like downtrodden proletariat. I don't get it. Well, unless you have anything else, I think that is it for this Limp Ditka's podcast, episode 37. We are post Super Bowl now. We will have the draft, of course, coming up. What do you know? What pick the Cowboys have by chance?
It's gonna be somewhere
middle 20.
Middle 20. I don't know what it is for sure though.
Well, we'll be sure to be talking about that in the future. We'll see when we come back. We'll be doing Michigan Panther casts as news becomes available. Obviously, we've got the USFL draft next week. As rosters are taking shape, that's going to be fucking awesome to see, and a schedule release at some point. So we will be back when those things play out and we have more to talk about. So in the meantime, you can catch us at limptitkas.com. You can find our merchandise there. You can find us on social media at limptitkas. And you can find this podcast anywhere you like to find a podcast. So with that, I'm going to say this is Dagger Time. We out. Peace.
Peace.